What you are about to watch is the best and closest story of our true history. The researcher known as Our True History is the foremost expert and has solved things people didn't even know could be solved. This is the first video of the series. Check out his channel for more. And documentaries, ourtruehistory.co.uk.
In a universe that is not the one we are in, a planet with beings living on it try to recreate the start of their universe. They use a machine that smashes particles together. They know it's dangerous, but they still try. They manage to get two particles to smash. But what they didn't expect was a new particle is formed. This new particle starts expanding. The beings try everything to destroy this new energy but can't. Frantically put a force field container around it to stop it expanding even more. They have realized they have just created a universe, a tiny one to them, but still a universe. The energy within the new small universe expands within the force field. But what the beings didn't know is they also created a new life form inside that new universe. Maybe even more than one, these small plasma energy orbs are just starting a life. They know nothing other than to move around. Time moves different inside the universe inside the force field. From the time outside of it, inside time belongs to mass and speed. But other than the orbs, no one is around to notice. The plasma orbs are energy. They won't die. But because they have no mass, they can go back in time to when the universe was formed. They can even go forward in time. As time moved on, the material in the mini-universe started to clump and coalesced. The main part of this was what we know as heavy water. The water would mingle and form all types of planets, from planets with gas mixed it to watery planets and everything in between. Inside the universe, suns formed, mostly two inside each solar system. Everything was a mess back then. Nothing had stable orbits. Planets would smash in suns and into other planets. Slowly, over time, everything started to settle. And that's where our story starts. A planet with a red hue on one side and blue oceans on the other is ejected from its own solar system. It didn't manage to get a stable orbit, and over millions, if not billions of years, it slowly let go of what orbit it had, sending the planet out of its solar system and across the Great Void, a void between solar systems. Its journey took 70 years of its time. Remember, time moves different in this universe, and this planet was big, at least 4 to 10 times the size of Earth. But this planet has a secret. Like many planets that were formed a long time ago, this planet had life forms. They have been evolving for billions of years. On the planet, there is a species with intelligence. They have evolved enough to have created spaceships. There were animals on the planet, but its alpha race was called Dingir. They had their own wars on their planet. Over a long time, it goes so bad with them using nukes on each other, they called a truce and let a male and female from the opposite sides marry, forming a new kingship that would keep the peace. They would then marry close relatives and half-sisters and half-brothers to keep the bloodline pure for whoever is royalty. We translate their race name Dingir to the word gods. The other side of the void, there was a solar system was forming from the waters in the empty space. The sun had been formed first, and then the waters mingled, and a huge water planet was formed. We know it now as Tiamat. The Norse gods called it the frost giant. You can see all the evidence on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Over time, Tiamat broke out smaller planets, and other planets also formed because of the waters. The planet that was crossing the void, we know it as Nibiru, entered this new solar system and passed many planets. They didn't have proper orbits and were smashing into each other. But Nibiru, home of the Dingir people, managed to pass the planets heading towards the sun. Nibiru, being a large planet, picked up 4 small asteroids, which got trapped in its orbit and became moons of Nibiru. Nibiru's direction took it past a planet we call Jupiter and straight towards Tiamat, the huge frost giant planet. The 4 moons of Nibiru get pulled towards the huge frost giant because of its gravity. The moon smashed into Tiamat, and Nibiru direction changed because of Jupiter, and made Nibiru swing back around past Jupiter, back out towards the edge of the solar system. The planet Tiamat was damaged but didn't break it up. But when Nibiru got to the edge of the solar system, it came back around. This time, it was heading directly for Tiamat, and the Dingir knew it. There's nothing they could do. They just hoped it would be okay for them and their planet.
Here's a quick advert.
Long before the stories in the Bible, a different tale of creation was etched in the oldest known tablets of humanity. This is our true history. Meet the Anunnaki, the gods who came to Earth from a distant world. They shaped our existence and left their mark on history. Unlike any other children's book, our true history reveals the hidden truths. The Anunnaki's quest for gold in Africa, Enki, the kind-hearted god, defying his brother Enlil to save Noah from the Great Flood, and how Adam and Eve's origins trace back to these celestial beings. Each page is not just a story, but a gateway to evidence. Discover the links and dive into the ancient tablets that predate the Bible, proving these incredible events. Explore Our True History, now available on Amazon. It's time to discover the story that was always meant to be told.
Planet Nibiru hit Tiamat, and Tiamat started to break up. But when Nibiru hit the ice planet, it transferred life from Nibiru to the watery ice planet. Tiamat broke up with one larger part, moving away past a planet we call Mars. Tiamat's own moon, called Kingu, also got knocked away. The rest of Tiamat broke into millions of rocks, and the water on those rocks stayed around that area. The larger part of Tiamat that broke off finally got caught in an orbit. It's in between planets we call Venus and Mars. It settled in the middle of them. This is because of a thing called Bode's Law. We know that middle planet is Earth. Kingu, the moon of Tiamat, also found its way near Earth and got caught by Earth's gravity. Kingu became the moon to Earth. Earth at that point was an ice planet. We call that time Snowball Earth. The rocks out between Jupiter and Mars, the other remains of Tiamat, were spinning out of control. The Dingir had no choice but to try to stop the asteroids flying all over. They got in their ships and managed to make a ring of them. We call that ring the asteroid belt. The Dingir called it the hammer bracelet. They were pleased, but they had now created a vault in the expanse.
Genesis 1:6-8, NIV. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault Sky.
The Bible talks about the asteroid belt. It even tells us about the water above and below. We know the water and asteroids were part of the planet Tiamat. a firmament that we think is a dome over Earth. The Dingir called it a firmament and told us about the waters above and below it, the waters that were from the broken-up planet called Tiamat. Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt, is a water-rich world, primarily in the form of subsurface ice and possibly briny liquids. Data from NASA's Dawn mission, 2015 to 2018, shows that water makes up a significant portion of Ceres's composition, far higher than Earth's overall percentage. Nibiru ended up with an orbit between Mars and Jupiter, and back out past Pluto. This orbit took around 3,600 Earth years. The Dingir called it a shar. We call a shar a year, so to them it's just 1 year, but we see it as 3,600 years. This will become important later. Over time, the planet Nibiru's atmosphere was struggling. The planet kept warm by volcanoes and thermal heat from within, but the atmosphere was starting to escape into space. Something needed to be done. The Dingir first tried to restart dormant volcanoes using nukes. It didn't work. Then they thought that gold particles sprinkled in the atmosphere might help. They knew the hammered bracelet had golden veins. They sent ships out to mine the gold in the asteroid belt, but they lost 2 ships. They didn't know what to do, and their king, who was called Alula, wasn't doing anything about it. A young man proclaimed himself to the rightful heir to the throne. His name was Anu. The elders checked family records. He was indeed entitled, but Alula suggested a wrestling match. The winner takes the throne. They wrestled, and Anu won. He beat Alula and became king. Alula feared for his life, because he only got the kingship because he killed the previous king. Alula fled to one of the spaceships. He knew the asteroid belt and Earth were made from the planet Tiamat. He thought if he could travel to Earth and find gold, they might make him king again. He traveled long and far in the ship, finally reaching the asteroid belt. He was in a ship with nukes on it. He fired them as the asteroids to create a gap to get through. He was now on his way to Earth. What would he find there? The furthest any Dingir had ever gone was the hammered bracelet. Could he even breathe on Earth? The Dingir called Earth Ki. It was a long journey. He finally passed Mars. Next stop Earth.
Short advert. Want to see who Lucifer really was with evidence? Our true history has solved that. And so many more mysteries, he is limited on social media sites and YouTube and Google because he gives evidence. But you can watch thousands of his content by visiting his website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. He adds more content every week.
The aliens in the other universe are unaware of life forms in the mini-universe they created, because for them only minutes have passed. But inside the mini-universe, billions of years have passed. The orbs that started life at the same time have now become sentient. However, they just live. They can't die. They are bored. But they have found a way to make the boredom go away for a brief moment, and it actually helps the light energy being grow. The orb joins with life that has a pineal gland. It then experiences the life that it's joined with. Although this is only a blink of an eye for the eternal energy life form, it's a distraction which it uses to learn. Learn what it's like to be an animal or a human. Hear the thoughts of the host. Understand happiness. Learn sadness. Learn everything the host goes through. The orbs even join with the Dingir. They are aware of the life forms, but don't know how to communicate with them. When a host, such as the Dingir, dies, the orb leaves the body and retains the memories and actual thoughts of the host. We know it as a ghost or spirit. Alula's ship reaches Earth. He circles the planet 3 times using his sensors to find gold. It detects gold, and he takes his ship down to land. He gets out and puts on his eagle helmet. You'll recognize this from ancient cultures. He steps outside and walks around. He walks for a while, and finally he feels if he has any chance of getting gold, he needs to be able to breathe properly. He takes his helmet off, takes deep breaths, and then laughs. He is happy. But now the other problem. Is Earth's water drinkable? He goes a swamp. He uses a device to test the water. It's bad. It would kill him. He starts to walk away when he sees a stick move. He shoots it with a laser beam. He picks up the stick. We know it as a snake. He'd never seen a creature like it. He keeps walking and finally finds more water. Fresh water. He tests. He drinks. It's good. Now he walks to a tree. He takes a fruit and eats it. It's bitter, but it's good. The light is getting dark. He's not sure what's happening, so he heads back to his ship. By the time he gets back there, the sky is completely black. Only Kingu, Earth's moon, casts a light. Alula is scared. What's happening? Why is it dark? He sits in his craft and falls asleep. He wakes, and there is light again. He slept for about 30 days and nights to us, but to him that's just one night. He gets up and goes to the ocean. We know it as the Persian Gulf. He goes into the water with a container and digs under the sediment. He puts gold in the container, and it registers as gold. The Dingir saw that gold was good. He goes back to his craft and contacts Nibiru. They didn't know where he had gone. Alula explains everything and tells them he wants to be king. King Anu suggests he can be the leader of Earth for now, and King Anu will send his son Ea. We know Ea as Enki, and 49 other Dingir to come down to mine the gold. Ea says he needs to design a craft that can take gold from the bottom of the water and remove the dirt. He will also design the craft so that when he gets to the firmament, he'll use water cannons to move the asteroids away to get past. This spaceship we know they called a barge. You may have heard of the solar barge from ancient Egypt. There's a carving of this and other craft in Abydos. But this will take about a year to build and to get to Earth. A year for Alula is 3,600 years for us. Alula builds a shelter. All this was around 445,000 years ago. But what he didn't know was there are big creatures on Earth. Those big creatures we know as dinosaurs. There's enough evidence to show dinosaurs didn't all die out 66 million years ago. Alula and his laser gun had no problem killing the dinosaurs and cooking its meat for food. A year for Alula passes, but Earth's time 3,600 years has passed. Ea is on his way to Earth, but there's trouble ahead for Alula, the king of Earth. Or so he thought.
I hope you are enjoying these. If you want to watch the other episodes, or watch one of my thousands of documentaries, please visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. Please reshare or repost this. It really helps me keep researching and making content. Thank you. Our True History.
Here's a quick advert.
Did you know we now have the evidence to show who the Norse gods were in relation to the Anunnaki? We now know the 10 plagues of Egypt started in Israel and the aftermath was in Egypt. We have evidence that Lilith didn't know Adam at all, but she did know Adamu. One amazing researcher has worked all this out, and even worked out the trumpets in the Bible were rockets or missiles. The same researcher has produced a video with evidence proving the Bible was a copy of the older Anunnaki texts, the race called gods. He's even given evidence as to why the Nazca mountain range was sliced off, and so many more world's firsts. But before you put the laughing faces icon, why not watch just one of these amazing documentaries? simply visit our truehistory.co.uk and scroll down to where it says click here. Then if you have evidence to prove his evidence wrong, he would love to see it. If you can't, then maybe watch his other videos and learn about our true history.
EA's spaceship gets to the asteroid belt, and it uses its water cannons to move the asteroids out of the way. The craft also uses water and crystals to power the craft. They used too much water. EA says to his pilot, they should stop on Lahmu to refill if it has water. We know Lahmu as Mars. The craft lands on Mars, and there are creatures living on it. They appear to be like horses, but they have sloped backs. They take on water and leave. Interestingly, Mars back then did have life and water. It's Nibiru's gravity over billions of years that sucked it out, but around this time, 440,000 years ago, there was some life and water still there. Sadly, as you'll find out later, something happened that finished off the life and water on Mars. But for now, EA finally arrives on Earth and lands the huge craft on the water in the Persian Gulf. The 50 dingir wade to the land and are met by Alula. They lock arms and all is forgiven. It's daytime on Earth and they have a meal cooked by Alula. They get in Alula craft as it gets dark. All the other dingir are scared. They have never seen darkness come so quick. Finally, they fall asleep and wake about 30 Earth days later. This was just one night for them. When they woke, it was the morning of the second day. He assigns duties over the waters. He tells them to wear robes that they had brought with them. Engur is placed in charge of fresh water, Enbelulu oversees the marshes, and Enkimdu is tasked with ditches and irrigation. Day 3, Ea and Alalu inspect the vegetation, sampling herbs and fruits. Isimud, Aya's vizier, helps identify what is safe to eat. A hero named Guru is appointed to oversee food supplies. Day 4. Ea orders tools taken from the ship to begin constructing dwellings. Kula supervises the making of bricks, and Mushdamu directs the foundations. Day 5. Ningirsig builds a reed boat to explore the marshes. Together with Ulmash, they separate edible fish and birds from those unfit to eat. Enbilulu and Enkimdu prepare pens and traps. Day 6. Ea surveys the animals of the land, appointing Enersag to distinguish the creatures that crawl and those that walk. The construction of the camp and protective fence is completed. Day 7. The group gathers, and Ea, who is now known as the Great Lord, proclaims the seventh day a time of rest after their hazardous mission and successful landing.
Exodus 28-11, King James Version 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 9. 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work. 10. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
They establish their settlement and name it Eridu, home in the faraway. Alalu is honored as commander. Gold extraction begins. They find plenty of iron and copper, but very little gold. A full year passes. The work continues through months and seasons. At year's end, they take stock and see that the gold gathered is not enough to send to Nibiru. Ea orders the barge moved to deeper seas. This brings better results. Gold is finally detected, though still in small amounts. He informs Anu, who is pleased at first, but soon asks if it will be sufficient. It is still not enough to meet Nibiru's needs. King Anu and the royal council grow impatient. The planet still requires gold urgently to heal its atmosphere. King Anu sends his other son, Prince Enlil, to take command over Prince Ea and devise a stronger plan for obtaining gold from Earth's interior. Enlil arrives and surveys the land with Ea, confirming there is indeed gold in the soil and rocks, but it must be mined rather than filtered from water. Alula hasn't been put in charge yet. He's getting frustrated. Enlil declares that Eridu cannot continue alone. He suggests bringing more Anunnaki workers, creating new settlements, and extracting gold from the earth itself. It was around this time that King Anu called the older Dingir the team name Anunnaki, meaning those from heaven to earth. The younger Dingir that has just arrived were to be called Igigi, which means watchers or eye in the sky. To settle disputes, Anu himself journeys to earth. He meets with his sons Ea and Enlil, and lots are cast to divide command and territories. This angers Alula because Ea was given the Abzu to be in charge of, the Abzu we know as Africa. Enlil was in charge in Mesopotamia, we know that as Iraq, and King Anu still remained in charge of Nibiru. Alula demanded a wrestling match to put him as king of Nibiru again if he wins. Last time he lost. They did wrestle, and Alula lost. He was pinned on the ground. But because the Anunnaki didn't wear clothes when wrestling, Alula bit off King Anu's private part and swallowed it. You will know Alula as Kronos. I have evidence of this on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Alula was sentenced to banishment on Lahmu, Mars, until he dies there, but his grandson, called Anzu, requested to stay with Alula on Mars. Just at that time, Ninma, half-sister of Enki and Enlil, chief medical officer, is also brought to Earth. She suggests on her way to dropping her father King Anu back on Nibiru. After she drops Alula and Anzu on Mars, then, when she returns, she will stop on Mars, and if Anzu is still alive, she will bring him back to Earth. Alula and Anzu are dropped off on Mars, because Alula swallowed the private part of King Anu. He was poisoned and would die a horrible death. Anzu stayed with him. Ninma dropped King Anu back on Nibiru and headed back to Mars. Nearly 6 months had passed, and when she landed, she found Anzu near a lake. He was not breathing. Because she's the chief medical officer, she used all her skills to revive him. He woke and thanked her. She asked where Alula was. Anzu told her he died a long time back and he's been on his own. He put Alula's body in a cave that he made with his laser. Ninma asked to see the cave. They went there and saw Alula's body. She was sad. Nimna said that because he was a king once, and because he's the first king to die on another planet, they should honor him. You won't believe what they did to honor him. It's outstanding.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
2 new books has all the evidence you need. Almighty God or Anunnaki gods. You'll get your answer.
Here's a quick advert.
Everything is connected. In a world you thought you knew, one book will change the way you look at life forever. 30 years of research explains how Earth was smashed into. Discover the real name of the alien race we call the Anunnaki. Learn why everything started in ancient Mesopotamia, now modern Iraq. Examine the proof between humans, Anunnaki, and Egyptian rulers. You will find out that there were real giants living with humans. The pyramids were not tombs. They were technical devices built by aliens and man. Do you believe the dinosaurs all died out millions of years ago? Think again. understand who really controls Earth. Crop circles are not just created by man. Look inside the book and discover the mysterious forces at work. Bigfoot is not a myth. They are real and connected to aliens. Everything you need to know and so much more at your fingertips. Available from Amazon, Kindle, and OurUntoldHistory.com.
Ninmah had a laser beam cut into the rock that halved the cave with Alula's body inside. She was carving his face on the rock, a tribute to the first king to die on another planet. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the mini-universe, other life forms had now also become intelligent, and some had already been exploring the universe. Some of these beings were the oldest physical in the universe, such as this praying mantis type. It's only around 430,000 years ago in Earth's time that some of these beings head out towards our solar system. Don't worry, they won't arrive for another 420,000 years. Back on Earth, the Tigris and Euphrates are being made by the Igigi. These rivers were made so that the Anunnaki that were working in the buildings, for refining and medical center and spaceport, could have food and water. Once done, they were taken to the Abzu, Africa, where they had to mine. It was hard work. Enki designed a rock crusher machine, but because they had no infrastructure on Earth, the Dingir on Nibiru had to make it. That would take a year of their time to building and send it to Earth. This wasn't good enough for the young heroes, the Igigi were told at the start. If they help, they would only need to do a little work. But digging deep hole into the ground by hand was too much for them. They were getting tired and angry. Enki had his own place in the Abzu. He had been tinkering with genetics of animals here on Earth, mixing them, creating hybrid animals, and they were behind large fences he had the Igigi make for him. Enki was in charge of the mining in the Abzu, but he wasn't aware of the Igigi getting annoyed at the hard work. For 3,600 years, the Igigi bore the excess. You'll notice the year 3600, and in the Atrahasis tablet, that's 1 year for the Anunnaki. Please visit my website for all the evidence. Our true history. In the mines, the young sons of God were now so angry they actually set fire to the tools and got in a craft and went to see Enlil. He is the main leader, and so he will have to sort this out. Enki didn't know what was happening. He was still in the Abzu when the Igigi went to Mesopotamia. That means between two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. In the dead of night, under the middle watch of the stars, the Igigi gathered like shadows at the gates of Ikur, Enlil's palace in Nippur. Inside, Enlil slumbered, unaware. Kalkal, the vigilant gatekeeper, sensed the unrest. He slammed the bronze gates shut. Nusku rushed to Enlil's chamber. "My lord, your house is encircled. A rabble howls at your door." Enlil's eyes snapped open. Servants piled weapons by his throne. "Bar the doors," he commanded. "Stand before me with blade drawn." Nusku obeyed, but unease shadowed his gaze. "Why fear your own sons?" Enlil demanded him to summon Anu and Enki. Contact was made with Anu and Enki. Ninmah was also summoned. Anu appeared on a device. Enlil gripped his staff. "Have they risen against me? Shall I unleash war on my own blood?" Anu raised a hand. "Send Nusku." Let him demand answers. Nusku strode into the throng. "Who leads this folly? Who dares besiege Enlil's door?" The Igigi erupted. We all declared war. The digging, the endless toil, crushes us. We've halted the works. We cry out to Enlil. Nusku returned breathless. They speak as one. The load is too heavy. Tears traced Enlil's cheeks. He turned to Anu. Carry my decree upward. Call one god forward. Let fate cast him to destruction to appease this storm. We ignored the thunder of their suffering. Enki said, "Why lash out?" The burden was crushing. We can end this. Let Nimna birth a new race, primeval man from organic material. Let humans bear our yoke. Forge mankind from the void, let them toil in our stead. Ninma inclined her head. This birth is not mine alone. Give me organic material from Enki's creatures he has captured here on Ki, and I shall weave life. Enki smiled. One god shall be slain. His blood mingled with organic material from a creature here that already walks on two legs. From that union, man will rise. One of the Anunnaki were slain in order to make the new human. I'm not sure for what reason. The only thing I can think is that they took the orb from the dead Anunnaki and placed it inside the new human. They used the lab on a new, large orbiting craft they had now got from Nibiru. This craft was huge, and even had a garden in it. Ea was now called Enki, Lord of Water. But it wasn't as simple as it sounds. Enki, Ninma, and even Enki's son Nigashzida tried to get a full, able new primitive worker, but they failed 6 times. The first attempts they used the Neanderthal woman to give birth. The Neanderthal is what they used to get the organic material, also translated as clay or dust. The Neanderthal couldn't give birth. Then they had no choice but to let Ninma birth a human. She knew the risks. Sadly, the first was a baby was born with outstretched, weak hands that he could not bend or grasp with. This was no good, so they tried again. This time, the baby had constantly opened eyes, interpreted as blind. The third baby was born with both feet broken and paralyzed. The fourth baby could not hold back his urine. The sixth baby had no womb who could not give birth. The seventh had neither penis nor vagina. Enki tried a new idea, but it was even worse. Multiple severe afflictions. Afflicted head, eyes, neck, ribs, lungs, heart, bowels, spine, and shaky feet. Could not breathe easily, eat, or walk. Overall dislocated and dysfunctional body. Both Ninma and Enki were upset. They had been trying for years. The Igigi were counting on them. If this doesn't work, then the Igigi will stop. And the gold that's needed to be sprinkled in their planet's atmosphere wouldn't be collected, and their planet would die. A new idea was to not use the equipment and bowls from the Anunnaki, but instead made bowls from Earth. Their idea was it might be their own sterilization that was causing the issues. Finally, a baby came out. It was perfect. It had short curly hair, its skin was dark and had dark eyes, much like the Neanderthal. Enki and the others were happy. They had created a primitive worker. It wasn't too smart, but smarter than the Neanderthal, and it could be taught basic things, unlike Neanderthal. Now, they just needed a female. They changed the DNA code, but Ninma didn't want to give birth again. Enki asked his wife, Damkina, to be the mother. Damkina was the daughter of Alula, who was left to die on Mars. Damkina agreed, and they tried again. They named the boy Adamu, translating to human or earthling. The day arrived that Damkina was to give birth. Out came a healthy baby girl. She was more like the Anunnaki, lighter skin and sandy hair. This was perfect. Damkina named her Tiamat after the planet that broke up, and part of it is now Earth. They now had one of each, but they knew in order for the humans to breed, they needed at least 8 male and 8 female. Enki asked all the women Anunnaki to help. 7 stepped up and they were told they would be called mother goddesses. The Indians call them saptamatrikas. But before they could have the human babies, they needed to know if Adamu and Tiamat could breed. Because if they couldn't, then it would mean the Anunnaki women would have to give birth thousands of times. Sadly, Adamu and Tiamat couldn't have children. But Enki's son, Ningish Zida, came up with an idea. You won't believe what he done.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
2 new books has all the evidence you need. Almighty God or Anunnaki gods. You'll get your answer.
Ningish Zida worked out that if he took stem cell or DNA from the ribs of Enki and Ninmah, Ningish Zida then injected it into the first Homo sapiens. Whatever it was that was blocked or missing or needed changing worked. The male and female could have kids. This was perfect. But the gods needed more of these workers to help them. But before the women that Enki asked could be surrogate mothers, Ninmah took the blood from the female Tiamat and used that and her DNA to create the new babies. This way, all of the new Homo sapiens would be able to have children. And that's what they done. Later, the 7 more males and 7 more females were born. This was enough to create a gene pool that could breed with each other. When scientists trace mtDNA backwards, all current maternal lines eventually converge on one woman. That woman is called mitochondrial Eve, which backs up Ninmah using the blood from the first female. Nearly all of them came out darker-skinned. They were primitive. They didn't understand language and had to be shouted at for them to understand the most basic of tasks. Enki took them to the Abzu, Africa, and got them to help carry the baskets of rocks out of the mines. They didn't complain. The new species here on Earth would eat grass, fruit, and over time learn to kill and eat animals. The 300 younger Anunnaki, led by Anzu, the grandson of Alula, were stationed on Mars as an away station, where they would store the gold from Earth until their planet came around closest to them. Then they would drop the gold to Nibiru. Time passed on Earth. Enki tinkered with more hybrid creatures, but the process of getting the ore from the mines and taking it to Mesopotamia to be refined then to Mars wasn't going quick enough.
This is not working, and we need more gold, quicker!
The gold wasn't the best type of gold, and they had to make it a powder. Over thousands of years, the Homo sapiens learned to speak. It wasn't very good, but they understood just enough. The Anunnaki took some of the descendants of the Homo sapiens from Africa to help in Mesopotamia and Eridu. These workers were never given clothes. Because there were now Homo sapiens in the Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki thought they should have kingship. This would please the non-royal Anunnaki and would make them feel important, even though Enlil was in charge as the King of Kings. The first king was Alulim. He ruled the city of Eridu for 28,800 years. Back on Lahmu, we call Mars, the young Igigi were working very hard. The air on Mars used is thin, and they need to make above-ground tunnels to move around. It's a shame their planet Nibiru ruined the atmosphere on Mars. The gravity and pull of the huge planet Nibiru was too much for it. There might have been intelligent life on Mars once, long before the Igigi were stationed on the planet, but the Martians wouldn't have been able to travel to other planets. Otherwise, they would have came to Earth, and we have zero evidence a species that came before the Anunnaki and could travel in space. The few animals left on Mars will sadly all die. There will be something that happens to Mars, but I'll cover that when the time happens. For now, the Igigi grumble, but get on with the work.
Really short advert.
Want to see documentaries that have solved mysteries you didn't think could be solved? With evidence, identified Lucifer and his parents, identified who Yahweh really was, proved the Norse gods were the Anunnaki, proved the mark of the beast has already occurred, identified the true Greek god Kronos, not Zeus's father, as an Anunnaki, and so much more. There's only one researcher that has done this. There's only one website, ourtruehistory.co.uk.
On Earth, progress was slow, even with the Homo sapiens now breeding and helping. Nothing much happened between the time Enki created the first Homo sapiens around 300,000 years ago to around 100,000 years ago. But that's when everything changed. That's when the Bible mixes up the Adam and Eve story. The first Homo sapiens were not Adam and Eve, but around 100,000 years ago, Enki had an idea. He loved creating new creatures using DNA splicing. We know those creatures as myths, and we would fall for that lie if it wasn't for the fact we can now do the same using CRISPR, clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, is a revolutionary gene editing technology adapted from a bacterial immune system, acting like molecular scissors to precisely cut, add, or remove DNA sequences in living organisms. Enki thought to himself, what if an Anunnaki and a Homo sapien actually bred, not like Enki using DNA to create a Homo sapien from a Neanderthal, but actually bred as in having babies together? What would that baby be like, Enki thought? Would it be the same as the Homo sapien? Would it be deformed? Would it even be able to talk and have intelligence like the Anunnaki? A lot of questions Enki wanted answered. But there's a problem. Even though he is a prince, the other Anunnaki wouldn't want their bloodline corrupted with hybrid children. This would go against the way the Anunnaki had as a rule of succession. Who would inherit their planet Nibiru if children were hybrids? Enki needed a plan, and he came up with one. Enki and his right-hand man went out on a small rowing boat and came across to Homo sapien women. They were dark-skinned and naked. Enki jumped ashore and had his way with both of the women. They were a lot smaller than Enki, but it seemed to work. There's many reasons why it could have worked. Just look at the Greek gods' statues that are naked. The Anunnaki men might not have had larger-size manhood than what we have today. Regardless, Enki left and told his aide to keep an eye on the women. He did, and found out they both were pregnant. 9 Earth months passed, and one female gave birth at dawn and the other at dusk. Enki's aide picked up the babies and put them in a reed bast. He rushed back to Eridu, where Enki was at that time. The aide was shouting, my lord, look what I have found." This was all part of Enki's plan. Enki comes out to sea and shouts, "Look at those creatures, they are like us. They look like our image." This is because the 2 children were pale skin and blue eyes. Enki shouts, "This must be a mutation from the humans. We shall look after these 2 and keep them safe." I'm sure most of the other Anunnaki that heard about this didn't fall for the lie and probably guessed they were Enki's children. Enki's wife also looked after them, as the children got to about 1 year old of Earth's time. Enki noticed they took longer than the Homo sapiens to grow. This means they had some of the Anunnaki's longer life. They also could talk and were intelligent. The 2 babies were named Adapa and Titi. You know them as Adam and Eve, the first Homo sapien, modern man. There were whispers that Enki heard that showed many of the Anunnaki didn't want the children in his building in Eridu. The others wanted the children gone. Enki had one choice to keep his secret children safe. You won't believe what he'd done.
Here's a quick advert.
I'm Enki, your father who art in space. You have all been wondering what this bag is.
Didn't anyone notice in carvings we don't have pockets? It's just a bloody bag, you primitive workers.
Finally, someone has found out who I really was. The only person to have solved so many things. Check out his website for the evidence. ourtruehistory.co.uk.
Enki couldn't leave Adam and Eve in his house in Eridu. He took them up in his whirlwind craft, put them on his orbiting ship. This ship was huge and is even mentioned in the Book of Enoch. And in those days, a whirlwind carried me off from the earth and set me down at the end of the space. And there I saw the dwelling places of the holy and the resting places of the righteous. Here mine eyes saw their dwellings with his righteous messengers and their resting places with the holy. Enki's craft was huge. It was designed to stay in orbit, and they would use smaller craft such as the whirlwind and chariots of fire to go between heaven, which is space, and earth. Adam and Eve were only young and could live on the ship with the help of another Anunnaki. They were allowed to eat from the hydroponic garden.
Is this home now?
Enki made sure there were fruits from earth planted, so his hybrid demigod children could eat human food. He did tell them never to eat the gods' food. Enki wasn't sure if the plants and fruits from Nibiru would cause Adam and Eve to be ill or even die. The children were good and didn't eat what they were told not to. Meanwhile, back on Earth, over in the Abzu, Africa, the Anunnaki were moving huge blocks using their spacecraft and levitation. This was able to be done because the stones had quartz in them. This page on based physics presents the 1927 Kautsky-Frost experiment as a legitimate but suppressed discovery of anti-gravity using quartz crystals. It argues that Polish researchers Dr. Kautsky and engineer Frost achieved gravity nullification through high-frequency radio waves applied to quartz. Sadly, it appears that the publisher had pressure put on him to say this was a lie in another publication. But in 1979, the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab, PEAR, was created. Experiments were conducted in how the mind can influence physical objects, remote viewing, and consciousness. In one experiment using sound, scientists were able to levitate a small quartz crystal. The type of crystal they used was quartz that contains magnetite and iron, which is used in radio receivers. They then created a high-frequency sound wave aimed at the crystal and were able to levitate it. In 2007, the PEAR lab was closed. I think I know why. NASA has a long history of developing and using acoustic levitation techniques, originally for simulating microgravity and enabling containerless processing of materials in space. To levitate quartz, you can use high-frequency currents, high-frequency radio waves, very short waves, or ultra-short waves, and high-tension electrical oscillations applied via electrodes/plates. Power level up to several kilowatts. Edward Leeds Kalnin used the same techniques when he built Coral Castle all on his own. The Anunnaki had a reason for building stone circles and long rows of stones. The stone circles had a purpose which I'll explain soon. Back on the orbiting spaceship, Adam and Eve had been on the ship for 24 years. They had not seen sunlight or dark. The spaceship had its lights on inside all the time. One of the Anunnaki didn't like Adam and Eve being there. He knew that they were children from Enki and human women. He despised the thought that Dingir bloodline had now got these small dumb humans as part of it.
我们本该留在伊甸。
Adam and Eve spoke to a Homo sapien slave woman on the ship. She had a baby. They had never seen a baby before. The woman said, "More down there," meaning Earth. Adam and Eve didn't know how to have children. They had to ask the slave, "How do you get them?" Some people think Lilith was Eve, or another woman that Adam knew. She wasn't. Lilith was the first Homo sapien women called Tiamat. She couldn't have children with Adamu until Nigazida genetically changed that. He had an idea. He told Adam and Eve to eat the fruit from the tree from Nibiru. If the fruit killed them, then that would stop this hybrid species being part of the Anunnaki. But if they lived, then Enki would kill them for disobeying him. He charmed his way to get Adam and Eve to eat, they did, but they did not die. It's okay, thought the Anunnaki. Enki will surely be so upset and will kill them. But when Enki found out, he was upset with Adam and Eve. But they told Enki it was another god that told them to eat, another Dingir. Enki was outraged. He called the Anunnaki a serpent. The gods, when angry, would use names like snake, serpent, and monster to call someone they didn't like. The Anunnaki, now called a serpent, told Enki that he shouldn't have bred with the humans. It's wrong. Enki thought about what to do. He knows the serpent is right, but Adam and Eve are his own flesh and blood now. How could he kill them? He had an idea. Here's part of the ancient text from the book of Adam and Eve. Remember, God is in this story is Enki, and heaven does mean space. Then, when God, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said to him, "O Adam, so long as the good angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his hosts. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in the heavens, in the realms of light, he knew nothing of darkness. But he transgressed, and I made him fall from the heaven onto the earth, and it was this darkness that came over him." Enki did make Adam and Eve fall from heaven, space. You'll never guess where he put them. Very quick advert.
Solved is a brand new book just released that has the research from Our True History, so you know it's going to give you the answers. It covers these chapters.
Solved who Jehovah was. Solved who Yahweh was. Solved Nephilim. Solved heaven, dragons, firmament. Enki, Greek, Roman god. Enlil, Greek, Roman god. Cronus, Anunnaki, Inanna, Greek, pagan gods, angels, Ark of the Covenant, cherubim, Igigi, watchers/fallen angels, the Great Flood, hell, demons, Mark of the Beast, Lucifer.
Available in paperback, Kindle and Amazon audio book. It's called Solved, Our True History Book 1.
He put them on earth, in his own garden. It's a walled garden, and there is a cave there called the Cave of Treasures. This is where Adam and Eve will stay. Here's the wording in the book of Adam and Eve. But Adam and Eve cried for having come out of the garden, their first home. And as they came to it, Adam cried over himself and said to Eve, "Look at this cave that is to be our prison in this world, and a place of punishment. What is it compared with the garden? What is its narrowness compared with the space of the other? What is this rock by the side of those groves? What is the gloom of this cavern compared with the light of the garden?" Adam raised his eyes and saw the rock and the roof of the cave that covered him overhead. This prevented him from seeing either heaven or God's creatures. So he cried and beat his chest hard, until he dropped and was as dead. And Eve sat crying, for she believed he was dead. Then she got up, spread her hands toward God, appealing to him for mercy and pity, and said, "O God, forgive me my sin, the sin which I committed, and don't remember it against me. For I alone caused your servant to fall from the garden into this condemned land, from light into this darkness, and from the house of joy into this prison. O Eve, remember that while we were in the garden, we knew neither night nor day. Think of the tree of life, from below which flowed the water, and that shed luster over us. Remember, O Eve, the garden land, and the brightness thereof." Then Adam stood up in the cave and said, "O God, why has light departed from us, and darkness covered us? Why did you leave us in this long darkness? Why do you plague us like this? And this darkness, O Lord, where was it before it covered us? It is because of this that we cannot see each other. For so long as we were in the garden, we neither saw nor even knew what darkness is. I was not hidden from Eve, neither was she hidden from me, until now that she cannot see me. O Lord, will you then plague us with this darkness?" Then, when God, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said to him, "O Adam, so long as the good angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his hosts. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in the heavens, in the realms of light, he knew nothing of darkness. But he transgressed, and I made him fall from the heaven onto the earth. And it was this darkness that came over him. It was at this time Enki started to think, what if there were more of these? These are more intelligent than the primitive workers. We could have these working for us, properly plowing the fields and seeing to the cattle. You won't believe what he done next."
Here's a quick advert.
This holiday season, dive into the extraordinary with 2 captivating books that unveil the mysteries of our untold history. From the Anunnaki to Atlantis, mermaids, pixies, black ops, aliens, Bigfoot, giants, and to the elusive men in black, unravel the secrets behind ghosts, crop circles, and much more. Be prepared for mind-bending revelations as the evidence is dissected from different angles, providing answers to the unanswered questions that have intrigued us for centuries.
Adam and Eve were taught by Enki and Ninki. She was known as Daminkina before she married Enki. She was also Alula's daughter. She was very upset when he was banished to Mars. But while Adam and Eve were learning and did have a longer lifespan than the Homo sapiens, they were trying to have children. The story of their children is written in the Bible about Cain and Abel. But the Bible mixes it up a little. We need to go back a little in time before Adam and Eve were born. In fact, we need to go right back to when Enlil first came to Earth to find out the true story of Cain and Abel. When Enlil arrived on Earth over 400,000 years ago, he took charge over Enki. But Enki had a plan. He asked his half-sister Nimna if she would have his child. That way, the line of succession would go to Enki and Ninma's son, because of the way their inbreeding allowed them to be next in line for the throne on Nibiru, Ninma being a princess and Enki a prince. But she failed to have a child with him. But there was a problem. Although Enki was the firstborn, and if he had a child with Ninma, his bloodline would be next in line. But the problem was that Enlil, who was Enki's younger half-brother, had already a child with Ninma on Nibiru. And when she came to Earth, she brought him. Ninurta, son of Enlil, was next in line for the throne because Enki couldn't have a child with the same half-sister. This was before Enlil seduced a very young Anunnaki girl called Sud. Enlil got Sud pregnant, and everyone was angry in Enlil because she was too young. Enlil was banished and Enki took over. But there was a twist. Remember when Alula first came to Earth and used a nuke on the asteroid belt to get past it? There were 7 more weapons on his craft. One of the Anunnaki pilots hid them on the request of Enki. But Enlil was banished to the place that Alula's 7 weapons were, and threatened to use them if he wasn't reinstated as King of Kings and the Most High here on Earth. Sud was asked would she marry Enlil because she was with child. She said yes, and Sud married Enlil, and she became known as Ninlil. But Enlil still had other children with his half-sister. Ninurta may have been a twin with Ishkur. He was also known as Adad, and more importantly, he was known as Enten when he was younger. That name is important because his brother Ninurta also had a different name when he was younger. He was called Emesh. As young boys, they were in charge of the sheep and grain which fed the Homo sapiens, because at that point there were only Homo sapiens and no Homo sapiens sapiens. The first were Adam and Eve, 200,000 years later. You might be thinking, Emesh, Ninurta, and Enten, Ishkur, were Cain and Abel from the Bible. Prepare to be blown away. No, they were not. While they did have to show their goods to Enlil, and he did choose who he said did the best for the term. That's where the Cain and Abel stops with them. Neither of them had a fight over it.
Here's a quick advert, then the rest will continue.
Dive into the extraordinary with 2 captivating books that unveil the mysteries of our untold history. From the Anunnaki to Atlantis, mermaids, pixies, black ops, aliens, Bigfoot, giants, and to the elusive men in black, unravel the secrets behind ghosts, crop circles, and much more. Be prepared for mind-bending revelations as the evidence is dissected from different angles, providing answers to the unanswered questions that have intrigued us for centuries.
Moving forward now, 200,000 years, which now makes Ninurta and Ishkur young adults, Adam and Eve have 2 children. They were girls, sisters. Their names were Ashnan, grain, and Lahar, sheep, granddaughters of Enki. Because they were Homo sapien sapien, they were smart enough to learn to tend to the fields and sheep. Ashnan, which means grain, later became known as Cain. She was taught by Ninurta, who knew all about the grain because he was in charge of that for a long time. Lahar, which means sheep, was later called Abel. She was taught how to look after the sheep by Enki's son Marduk. When the time came for the first harvest, the sisters debated who was the better and more important, grain or sheep. They took their goods in front of Enlil. He thought long and hard, but said it was Ashnan, grain, that won this year. Her sister didn't like that. She was so angry that later that day in a field she had an argument with her sister. Finally, her temper made her pick up a rock and smash Lahar, Abel, until she died. Grain wept. What had she done? She stayed in the field all night with her dead sister. That night, Titi, Eve, had a dream that something had happened. The next morning, she got Adapa, Adam, to go with her to the field. They saw the dead body. When Enki found out, he was furious. Enlil wanted Cain to be killed for doing that. Enki, the wise, thought about it, and you'll never guess what he done.
Here's a quick advert. We finally have the answers. Almighty God or Anunnaki gods. There's 2 brand new books just released from the foremost expert on the Anunnaki. The evidence doesn't just come from the ancient tablets that predate the Bible. There's archaeological, biological, scientific, astronomic evidence. Ever wondered why God said in the Bible that the gold was good, or why God asked Moses to make him cakes? It's all here with evidence. Almighty God or Anunnaki Gods Book 1 and 2 out now, on Kindle and paperback. Audiobook version coming soon.
After Cain killed her sister Abel, Enlil wanted her dead. Enki said no and suggested she be banished. But to save her from being killed by the Homo sapiens, he gave her a mark on the forehead. It was probably a gold symbol that the Homo sapiens would understand that she is protected by the gods. Cain was sent away to wander the lands on her own. A few years passed, and one day Adam sailed his boat on the calm sea. Some of the Anunnaki in a craft were on the way to Absu to collect gold ore and bring it back to Mesopotamia, and they could see Adam fishing. They didn't like the idea humans were smart enough to fish, so they did a flyby right over Adam's boat and made it turn over. Adam was so angry at those Anunnaki. Adam spoke powerful words. "I will break your wing." And he did. He broke the wing of the craft. For 7 days, the craft did not fly across the land. On the gods' home planet Nibiru, King Anu found out that there was a delay in the gold. He asked his messenger. You'll know the word messenger as angel. Why has the south wind been silent for 7 days? The messenger replied, Adam, son of Enki, broke its wing. Anu commanded, bring him before me. Back on Earth, Enki knew Adam would be taken to Nibiru. Worried that the food and drink of the gods might poison or transform his human son in dangerous ways, Enki dressed Adam in tight-fitting Anunnaki space clothes and gave him strict instructions. When you stand before King Anu, 2 gods named Tammuz and Gish-Zida will greet you at the gate. Tell them you wear Anunnaki space clothes because 2 gods have vanished from Earth. They will be surprised and speak kindly of you to Anu. Then they will offer you food of life and water of life. Do not eat or drink them. But when they offer you garments and oil, accept them and put them on. Enki feared the divine food might harm Adam's human body, or worse, change him in ways Enki could not control. Adam traveled to Nibiru with other Anunnaki in their spaceship that goes from Earth to heaven. Very quick advert.
Solved is a brand new book just released that has the research from our true history, so you know it's going to give you the answers. It covers these chapters.
Solved who Jehovah was. Solved who Yahweh was. Solved Nephilim. Solved heaven, dragons, firmament. Enki, Greek, Roman god. Enlil, Greek, Roman god. Cronus, Anunnaki, Inanna, Greek, pagan gods, angels, Ark of the Covenant, cherubim, Igigi, watchers/fallen angels, the Great Flood, hell, demons, Mark of the Beast, Lucifer.
Available in paperback, Kindle and Amazon audio book. It's called Solved, Our True History Book 1.
While Adam was away, Enki wondered to himself. He thought Eve was attractive and took her. She later had Enki's son named Seth. Adam arrives at Nibiru and approached Anu's throne room. Anu asked Adam why he had broken the wind's wing, the craft's wing. Adam explained how the wind had capsized his boat. Hearing this, Anu calmed his anger and wondered, why has Enki given this mortal such wisdom? Perhaps he deserves eternal life. So Anu ordered his servants to bring the food of life and water of life. But remembering Enki's warning, Adam refused to eat or drink. Anu was puzzled. Why did you not eat or drink? Adam answered honestly, my lord Enki told me not to. Take him back to his earth. And so Adam returned to Earth, wise but still mortal. The stones in Africa were being put there by the Homo sapiens with the Anunnaki. There were now millions of them. It had been over 200,000 years ago since the Homo sapiens were created, and they had bred a lot. There was no right or wrong with them. No one to be there all the time to teach them things, other than what the Anunnaki forced them to do. they did whatever they wanted. The modern man could understand so much, but sadly the Homo sapiens didn't have it in them to understand much. This is because of them being created from a Neanderthal and the DNA of Anunnaki. Regardless, the primitive worker, as the Anunnaki called them, did what the Anunnaki forced them to do, and over the 200,000 years, over 1 million stone circles were built in Africa since the start of the Homo sapiens, each having lines of stones going off from them. They were not calendars. Those came a long way later. These stone circles and the lines of stones going off and joining other circles were for a different purpose. The type of stones were found by the Anunnaki. They had to be the right type. They had to have quartz in them, not large amounts, but enough to do two things. The first is to levitate it, and the other reason is that it helps produce a resonate frequency. The energy comes from the Earth itself and travels up through the Earth and out into the atmosphere. But these stone formations are placed in the right position to get the most from the frequency. Sometimes, a few hundred feet in the air, there are plasma bubbles. These are formed because of the frequency of the Earth and the ionization of the atmosphere. Chinese scientists have found plasma bubbles above the Great Pyramid. The team on Skinwalker Ranch has also found them, but they haven't worked out what they are yet. In fact, you'll see ancient buildings were built up high to have their tops inside the bubble. The bubble can give strange effects. The best researcher in the world says if you put a door made of stone and quartz, then it's possible to open a portal. Here's such a temple that has done that, and the locals say beings used to come through it. Cain wandered the land and settled with a group of Homo sapiens. The Bible says Cain was a man, but we know different now. The Bible also says Cain had a wife. There was no one that could have performed the marriage. The Anunnaki banished Cain so they wouldn't perform the marriage. And if you believe the Bible, then only 3 humans were on the planet at that time: Cain and her parents, Adam and Eve. They were not qualified to marry Cain to someone. So you can see that the Bible does make huge errors, which is why this series you are watching now is the most correct. When Cain had a child, it could have been dark-skinned but intelligent, more intelligent than the father, who was a Homo sapiens. The child would have been a Homo sapiens sapiens, thanks to the mum. Cain being a Homo sapiens sapiens. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to the stone circles on the ground. They did a few things. The first is generate energy which may have been used by the Anunnaki to power devices and craft. Another reason is they stimulated crops nearby, just like a genuine crop circle which can produce an extra 400% yield on the crop. The stone's energy had the same effect which allowed the Homo sapiens to have plenty of food. Watch my documentaries to see all the evidence. The other reason was climate control. There's a company here on Earth right now doing the same. HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, targets the ionosphere, which begins about 60 miles, 100 kilometers, above the Earth's surface. The troposphere. This is where our weather, rain, snow, hurricanes, happens. I wouldn't trust anything in the snow or rain or clouds anymore. But let's get back to the stones. Just like HAARP uses radio waves to heat the ionosphere today, the theory suggests that these millions of stone circles acted as a passive version of the same tech. Scientific research shows that Africa's climate changed significantly between about 100,000 and 50,000 years ago, and those changes would have affected where humans lived and how they survived. Multiple lines of evidence from geology, paleoclimate science, and archaeology support this. This is the time the stones were put there. But why change the weather back then? You won't believe the answer.
I hope you are enjoying these. If you want to watch the other episodes or watch one of my thousands of documentaries, please visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. Please reshare or repost this. It really helps me keep researching and making content. Thank you. Our True History.
It is official. Amazing evidence has solved if God was real. The huge evidence shows they were Anunnaki.
That's right, 2 brand new books on Amazon has proven the Anunnaki were the gods, and they created us in their image.
The author known as Our True History has been called the foremost expert on the Anunnaki.
The books are called Almighty God or Anunnaki Gods, Book 1 and 2. These have now ended any debate. I'll be buying them for my family for Christmas. Now to the weather in your area.
Almighty God or Anunnaki Gods, Book 1 and 2 out now, on Kindle and paperback. Audiobook version coming soon.